after we got married. We just didn't know how everything was going to turn out. And the fact that we were going to be sent out and no one could ever have guessed where we were going to turn out and what city we were going to. Pastor went to talk to Harold. Actually, he set the date for our wedding and told us when we were going to get married, which Harold went out and bought a ring, and then we got married September 10th, 1972. Right? 1970. I don't know. One of those days. When Harold was a butcher, he was just a testimony. Janet Foley remembers tracks being put in the meat that her dad would bring home from the butcher shop. He was a testimony to Charlie and his wife, and forever, constantly talking about Jesus. Just talking about Jesus. That's what we were. We were Jesus freaks. Pastor went to talk to Harold about going to Kearney. There was a position open that might be open. And then, of course, when they went on the parade, he blew it. He blew the opportunity to be in Kearney. The Bible study leader that wanted a pastor saw Harold with a bullhorn and Ron Jones leading these people in the parade and who were preaching gospel, and he said, nope, that's not gonna happen here. So he came home. I did not feel any fear. I felt the peace of God the entire time. I had no qualms whatsoever when I said yes to Harold, and whether this meant him walking, crawling, or, dancing, I was going to stay married to this man. This is how I was raised. My mom was a totally different story with how I grew up. And I was not going to be like my mom. I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be committed to my husband. So I stayed with him. After the accident, we didn't know what was going to happen with our lives. I mean, I was totally trying to get a handicapped car together with hand controls, trying to deal with the hospitals in the fact that we had no insurance except to cover the first hospital, which was just the surgery itself. And everything was God. Everything that we did at that time was God. He was sent to Good Samaritan Rehabilitation Center, which was just down the street from Barrows Institute. They said they transported him over to Good Sam. I said, we don't have the money to pay for this. And Nixon signed a grant for spinal cord research, and he was probably the first or third one on that. And so we, we went through the rehab and were 100% testimony the entire way. He was nonstop living for Jesus. And then he was a testimony to the nurses. There was one nurse in particular named Mary, if I'm not mistaken, her name was Mary. And she was just the most fantastic nurse to Harold and took care of him. Every need that he needed, she was there. She was perfect. I don't know that she ever got saved, but I know that he had a real respect for her, and she had a real respect for him in the fact that she took care of him so much. He preached. Larry Reed was doing a 6-week tour of the East Coast, and he asked Harold if he could do the radio program. But it was no problem preaching, laying down. I mean, you could preach standing on your head if you want to, but it was reel to reel. And Harold would preach these sermons, and we would time it, 45 minutes, because it went on the radio.
In the temple, the Bible says he appointed 4,000 Levites whose sole purpose was praise and worship to God. There was
12. So when Pastor Mitchell approached us about going to Tucson, I just said, okay, why not? He can preach sitting down. I'll take an offering, I don't care. And I did several times. Played the piano, took an offering, counted. And if you look back on it, sometimes those little things were hysterical, but they were learning things for when you get bigger and better. And this is where we are.
Yep, this is it. Let's go.